way in which the FTC is pursuing Microsoft, does it seem significant to you?
I think it's very important. You know, the Microsoft case brought by the Department of Justice in the late 1990s was critical to the expansion and growth of the internet. Many of the things that we benefit from in competition on the internet are specifically because of that earlier case.
What's interesting is, of course, we've heard back from the Microsoft Deputy General Counsel, Rima Aleli, who put on LinkedIn saying on behalf of Microsoft, the FTC Inspector General, to investigate whether the FTC management improperly leaked confidential information about a potential antitrust investigation. How do you see these sorts of investigations evolving and becoming publicly known before, indeed, Microsoft has a chance to ultimately lead the way here?
I'm extraordinarily skeptical about whether or not the agency there would be some kind of leak from the agency. That's extraordinarily unusual. Third parties, however, who receive civil investigative demands can disclose whatever they want. And maybe this is a situation where one of those parties disclosed information to the press about the requests they had received from the FTC.
Of course, this is wide-ranging, it would seem. Bloomberg initially reporting on how it's going to be focusing on the way they intertwine their operating system and also their dominance in cybersecurity. Now the information talking about the OpenAI Microsoft deal. I want you to just take a listen to a conversation I had with the AWS CEO yesterday, Matt Garman, talking about how he'd like to offer his own AWS clients access to OpenAI models, but can't at the moment. Just take a listen.
I believe that we would love OpenAI models inside of AWS. Absolutely. It's we listen to our customers, and if that's something that customers want, we're absolutely game. Obviously, with a partnership, it takes multiple sources, and there's probably some complexities in there, as you allude to. But I think in the fullness of time, it likely is the case.
So therein lies some of the issue that maybe the FTC is investigating, this relationship with OpenAI and Microsoft, and whether it should be indeed broken open a little. It seems as though Matt Garman is positive that it will. Do you think that ultimately that will be done by self-regulation or actual FTC regulation?
No, I think the FTC is going to take a serious look at this relationship and the potential of that relationship to foreclose other forms of competition, other rivals. They're going to take a very close look at the nature of the agreement between OpenAI and Microsoft.
Do you think, though, that a lot of these cloud companies are having particular relationships with some of these very powerful generative AI models? Is that something that's generally going to be looked at across the board?
Yes, but it's always important to realize that Microsoft is dominant. They're dominant in cloud computing. They're dominant in certain software categories, vital software categories. And when a firm takes that dominance and extends that dominance to other product markets and forecloses competition in those markets, that violates the antitrust laws.
I feel, though, AWS would have something to say about Azure being all that dominant. They feel that they own a lot of the market. I'm sure that even other areas, Oracle feels that they got a key stake, Google as well. Can you have broader provision, less oligopoly-like cloud operations when this ultimately is incredibly expensive to offer?
I think that's one of the considerations that's kept in mind here. But we see many markets where there are not contractual arrangements that foreclose competition, where competition flourishes. And it's specifically those arrangements, like the arrangement between Microsoft and OpenAI, that will receive intense scrutiny. Especially because Microsoft is so dominant in cloud computing.
And dominant in cybersecurity, and in many ways, the reporting is such that this investigation started because some of the failings to do with cyber when it came to federal provision. Is that what sparked all of this, David? How do you think this is going to weather a transition into a new administration?
First of all, that suggests one of the real advantages of having a Federal Trade Commission that deals with both consumer protection issues, the failure to provide cybersecurity adequately, and competition issues. I think this is an investigation that won't lose any steam in a new Trump administration. The kinds of legal issues here about when bundling is legal and illegal, I think there's a pretty strong consensus between Republican and Democratic antitrust enforcers. So I expect this investigation will go full throttle in the next administration.